All right. So today we're going to be looking at
Japan.
to Japan's business world.
Japan's business world and why it's so interesting to maybe expand there.
Yeah.
And we're going to be looking at this concept of a PEO, which is a professional employer organization.
Yeah. It's kind of a secret weapon for people who want to get into Japan quickly.
It is a bit of a secret weapon.
Good.
So we'll be talking about that as well.
Absolutely.
But
Can be tricky.
yeah, there's a lot of complicated stuff
One nuances.
when it comes to Japan's labor laws.
Exactly.
So we're going to be trying to break all that down today and make it a little bit more understandable.
Yeah. Make it a little bit simpler.
So why is it so difficult to expand into Japan the traditional way?
Well, I mean, if you want to set up a local entity,
Mm.
I mean, that could take you anywhere from like 4 to 12 months.
4 to 12 months.
Just to get like the legal framework in place.
Wow.
And that's not even factoring in, cultural differences,
Yeah.
language barriers, all those things.
Yeah, and the legal fees too, I imagine.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So it can get really expensive.
Absolutely. And even once you've done all of that, you still have to figure out all the nuances of Japanese labor law,
Right.
which are not always the same as other parts of the world.
Totally. So what is the alternative then if you don't want to go through all that?
Well, like I said, we have this thing called a professional employer organization, or a PEO,
Okay.
and it acts as the employer of record in Japan.
So tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so basically they handle all the HR and legal responsibilities. So think about payroll,
Okay.
taxes, benefits,
Mhm.
compliance, recruitment, all those things that would normally take you months and months to set up, they can do in a fraction of the time.
So you're basically like having a team on the ground without having to physically set up an office.
Yeah, exactly. It can be done as little as 48 hours.
Wow.
It can be operational.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Okay. So I get why you called it a secret weapon now. Okay, so can we just go back to like, what are some of those challenges that we were just talking about when expanding into Japan the traditional way?
Yeah. So besides the time and expense, you're also dealing with Japanese work culture,
Right.
which is unique.
Yeah.
For example, Japan has a very strong tradition of long working hours
Yeah.
and a pretty deeply ingrained hierarchy.
Mm-hmm.
They are making efforts to kind of reform that,
Yeah.
promote better work-life balance,
Right.
but it is something to consider.
Yeah, it's not just like the legal framework, it's also understanding all of those cultural differences as well.
Absolutely. And another one is hiring foreign workers.
Okay.
Japan has pretty strict visa requirements, so
Yeah.
that can make it difficult to bring in talent from overseas.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
So it sounds like you need to know what you're doing, basically,
pretty much.
if you're going to expand into Japan.
Yeah, you got to be prepared.
Okay, so how does a PEO like INS Global actually help with all of this?
Well, so INS Global basically becomes the employer of record.
Okay.
So they handle all the administrative burden.
Right.
They make sure you're complying with all the local regulations.
Mhm.
They manage payroll and taxes seamlessly.
Okay.
And they can even help with recruitment. So
Uh-huh.
finding top talent,
Okay.
both locally and, if you want to bring in people from overseas.
So really, like they're doing everything that you would have to do yourself
Pretty much.
if you were setting up your own entity.
Yeah, they take care of all of it
But doing it for a much cheaper price.
for much cheaper.
Yeah. 80% less expensive.
Yeah, up to 80% cheaper.
Wow. That's crazy. So not only are they doing it faster and easier, they're also saving you a lot of money.
Exactly.
So it seems like a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
Okay. So we talked about Japanese labor laws, but I just want to go into a little bit more detail
Yeah.
about like some of the specifics.
Yeah.
So what are some things about working in Japan that might surprise people?
Well, a lot of people are surprised by this concept of service overtime.
Service overtime.
Yeah. So in a lot of Japanese companies, it's kind of expected
Okay.
that employees will work
Like for free.
for free beyond their contracted hours
Oh, wow.
as a sign of like dedication and loyalty to the company.
Oh, wow. Okay. So even though they have a 40-hour work week, officially,
Officially 40-hour work weeks.
it's not uncommon for people to be working much longer.
Yeah, it's not uncommon.
Okay.
But like I said, they are working on reforms to
Right.
kind of change that a little bit.
Yeah.
And there's more awareness of work-life balance now,
Okay.
but it's still work in progress.
Yeah. Interesting.
It is.
Okay. So another unique aspect of Japanese labor law is this thing called seasonal bonuses.
Oh, yeah.
So tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So basically, these are
I
bonuses.
think everyone gets.
Yeah, that are separate from performance bonuses.
Okay.
They're usually paid out twice a year,
Okay.
like in summer and winter.
Wow. Okay. So it's like a guaranteed bonus on top of your salary.
Pretty much, yeah. It's a very like deeply ingrained thing in Japanese culture
Right.
and a symbol of commitment from the company to the employees.
Okay.
And they're not small either.
Oh,
They can be
okay.
quite substantial.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've talked about a lot today.
Yeah, we've covered quite a
The
bit.
challenges of expanding into Japan, the benefits of using a PEO like INS and Global.
Yeah.
And even just some of like the nitty gritty of Japanese labor law.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else that you think is important to highlight?
Yeah, I think the main takeaway is that expanding into Japan doesn't have to be overwhelming.
Right.
Like if you work with the right partner,
Yeah.
it can be pretty straightforward.
Like INS Global.
Yeah, like INS Global.
Okay.
So if you're thinking about expanding into Japan,
Yeah.
contact INS Global today.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about your expansion project.
And they can help you figure out.
They can help you figure it all out.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about some other aspects of working in Japan. Like,
Yeah.
what about like paid time off and parental leave?
So Japan has some interesting policies in those areas.
Okay.
For paid time off, they actually get 10 to 20 days of paid annual leave,
Okay.
depending on their seniority
Oh.
and how long they've been with the company.
That sounds pretty standard.
Yeah, it sounds standard, but you have to work for the company for at least 6 months before you can take any of it.
6 months?
6 months.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's a pretty long time.
Yeah, it is.
What happens if someone gets sick like before then?
That's where it gets kind of tricky.
Okay.
Japan doesn't really have a system for like automatic sick leave.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So if you fall ill before you've kind of accrued enough time off,
Right.
then you just kind of have to use your annual leave or rely on government support.
Oh, wow. So it's kind of like if you're there, you're there.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
But they do have really good parental leave policies.
Oh, okay.
Both mothers and fathers are entitled to up to a year.
A whole year.
A whole year.
Wow. That's amazing.
It's very generous compared to a lot of other countries.
Yeah, definitely.
But, you know, cultural norms can still play a part in how many people actually take it.
Right. I imagine like traditional expectations might make it difficult.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So we've covered a lot today.
We have.
We've talked about the challenges, the solutions, even some surprising things about Japanese work culture and labor laws.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say is like the one key takeaway?
I think the main takeaway is that expanding to Japan doesn't have to be complicated.
Right.
Like if you find a partner like INS Global,
Yeah.
it can be really simple.
They make it easy.
They make it easy and you can focus on growing your business.
Exactly.
That's what you want to be doing.
Yeah. So what is something for our listeners to kind of ponder as we move on?
Well, we talked about like Japan's unique work culture,
Right.
the long hours, the dedication, but also how they're trying to reform and improve work-life balance. So what opportunities does this present for companies that already have innovative work-life balance practices?
Right. So they would kind of be like ahead of the curve.
Exactly. As Japan is evolving and like embracing these new ways of working,
Right.
companies that put employee well-being first and offer flexibility, they're going to really stand out.
Right. And probably attract better talent.
Absolutely. It's not even just about attracting talent. It's about creating a more engaged workforce.
Right. Because if people are happy,
yeah,
then they're going to work harder.
Exactly. When people feel valued, they're more likely to go the extra mile.
Totally. So it seems like a win-win.
It really is.
For everyone.
Yeah.
So we talked about the challenges of expanding into Japan.
Yes.
Some of the amazing solutions from INS Global.
Absolutely.
Before we wrap up,
Yeah.
do you have any advice for listeners who are considering expanding their business into Japan?
My advice is simple. Don't be intimidated by the Japanese market.
Right.
Partner with a company like INS Global. Let them help you.
And they'll figure everything out for you.
They will. They've got the expertise. They've got the experience to make sure that your expansion is smooth
Okay.
and successful.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So contact INS Global
Contact them today.
and tell them about.
Tell them about your expansion project.
Yeah. And they can help you figure out.
They can help you navigate the exciting possibilities
Okay.
of the Japanese market.
Amazing. That's such good advice.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's easy to get overwhelmed.
It is.
But if you have the right partner,
Right.
like INS Global.
Exactly. It makes it a lot easier.
Yeah.
And Japan has so many incredible opportunities.
Right.
It's a great market for businesses.
I think a lot of people.
It's really innovative.
Don't realize
A highly skilled workforce.
like how innovative they are
Yeah.
and how much potential there is.
And they've got a very loyal customer base.
Oh, yeah.
Japanese consumers, they love quality.
Yeah.
They want to try new things.
Yeah.
They're willing to embrace new products and services.
So yeah, there's a lot of opportunity there.
There is.
I think we've given our listeners a lot to think about today.
I think so.
We've explored all the challenges and opportunities of expanding into Japan. And we've talked about how INS Global can help companies navigate this market.
I think it's been great talking about all this with you and your listeners.
Yeah, it's been really interesting.
And I hope they'll consider Japan as a possible
Okay.
place to expand their business.
Yeah. And if they're ready to take that next step, INS Global's there to help.
Just a phone call away.
Yeah, they're the experts.
They are.
They're the game changers.
Yeah, they can help make your dreams a reality.
Yeah, they can help you turn your Japanese expansion dreams into a reality.
Absolutely.
All right, folks, that's it for our deep dive into the Japanese business world.
Great stuff.
Yeah, we hope you enjoyed it.
Hope you found it useful.
Yeah, and
hope it was inspiring.
if you're feeling adventurous,
maybe
we'll see you in Japan sometime soon.
Maybe.
All right, thanks for listening, everybody.
Thanks for having me.